I think I've benefited from other persons' volunteer activities. I remember back as far as a young man being in the Boy Scouts, someone volunteered to do that work. So as I grew older, I just saw it as something natural to be involved with some kind of activity that would be a benefit to others.
I would say that growing up, I always saw my mother. She was very much involved in my church, and she also was a music instructor. And so she would, do various things with the church and with children. And it became just a natural thing to just do if you were able to and if you had the time to just go and just extend yourself and to help others. So I would say, again, for me, it's just a natural, it's just something that you do if you're able to do that and do it willingly.
I volunteered for what was called a neighborhood house, a community center, working with young children. I was prepared to become a school teacher, and I thought that would be a nice way to become involved with the age group that I expected to be teaching. So later on, I volunteered for community-based organizations, and most recently served on boards at the Northwester House and Historical Society of West Hartford, the Harry Beecher Stowe Center.
Episodes with volunteering, I can remember being a candy striper. I had always wanted to be a registered nurse, and that was my first profession. I ended up actually with 3, but I can remember very vividly being a candy striper and really enjoying that. I think later on I did quite a bit of volunteering in terms of just tutoring elementary children, specifically in the area of reading. And then before we even came to Connecticut, I can remember working with adults, basic education, adult education. And it was all very, very satisfying just to be able to see people and see them learn and see their joy and just being able to perhaps understand things and see that spark and that smile, and it's just like a light bulb going on. So it was just a thrilling experience to do that. So.
You said you were a candy striper. Does everybody know what a candy striper is? Is that something that needs explanation, or?
Well, I'll say what my duties were. We would go. I was assigned to a hospital, and I was living in Boston at that time. And we would go and we would visit the patients, and we would really assist because we were just teenagers, and of course we had no license or no professional training. So we would go and deliver the mail, read, bring flowers, sometimes just sit and talk and observe really what nurses did, and along with just really helping the patients. In my mind, one of the things that I was really mulling over is this a profession? Is this something that I think I would want to do? So I hope that it explains what a candy striper was. And we had uniforms that actually looked like they were red and white, and they had the stripes on it. So it was a pretty big deal. Okay, I started off as a registered nurse, and very quickly, I lost my father to congestive heart failure. I remember it very vividly. When I was in the fourth grade, I was 8 years old, and I had an extremely close relationship with him. And seeing his illness, I had decided then that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help. The second profession that I had was actually teaching high school in the Boston area, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then when we moved here, when my husband accepted a position as a president of community college, Northwestern Connecticut Community College, I thought that would be a wonderful opportunity to get into higher ed, so I became a college administrator. I think a very exciting thing, I'm going back a little bit, was I was a Navy nurse. I was stationed at Bethesda Naval Hospital, and that was during the Vietnam era, and that was very, very exciting, and my patriotism really got a hold of me there, and I really wanted to do something to just feel I was helping the war effort here. So it was a very exciting time, and I got to just talk to many of our soldiers that were fighting over in Vietnam. They would bring them in by helicopter to Bethesda Naval Hospital, and it was just a very fulfilling experience for me. So nursing, both civilian and a Navy nurse, and then being a high school teacher and ending up as a college administrator.
Well, I guess the most important thing is in the field of education. Clearly, education is extremely important, and whatever I can do to assist youngsters in the larger education arena, then I'm interested in doing that.
And I feel the same way with that. I think young people, whether they're in the Boston area, whether in their Hartford area, whether they were in the Silver Springs area, I see a lot of potential. I see a lot of vibrancy in our young people. And there are a lot of young people, I use the phrase, doing what they're supposed to do. They're in school, they're doing the best that they can do, they're juggling all sorts of challenges at home in many instances, and they're good kids. And they have dreams, they have wonderful dreams. I was one of 5, and I was just very, very blessed in that, my mother had said to all of us early on, she said that your job is to go to school and to learn as much as you can. And she said, I don't want any one of you to come home and say that you don't like Mr. So-and-so. She said, that's irrelevant. You go in and you learn whatever there is to be learned. And once you know that and you develop your mind and your skills, then you have all sorts of opportunities that open up. And I still think of that as the garage door opening up. If you don't have that knowledge, if you don't have the necessary skills to be competitive, then that garage door stays shut, or almost shut, for your entire life. But if you get those skills, if you understand what your job is, then you have lots of options. And it was just instilled in me that you never want to be the bottom rung on the ladder. You want to do what you have to do so that you can reach the top. ring on that ladder. And her words were true. So I think both my husband, Booker, and I want to be able to reach out to all of the young people that are vibrant, all of the young people that are doing what they're supposed to do. And if there's any way that we can help them, if we have any of the resources that can help any of them, then we want to be a couple that puts feet to their dreams.
I've served on other boards, and like the Connecticut Humanities Council, and I was familiar with the funding that Hartford Foundation for Public Giving provided to a lot of organizations. But at the Stowe Center, I became quite familiar with some of the programs, and we at the Stowe Center, I was on the board there for at least 6 years, and on a committee prior to that. We were recipients of funding for some of our programs. More recently, my fraternity, it's the Alpha Psi Boule of Sigma Pi Phi fraternity, which the nation's oldest African American professional fraternity for men. It's over 100 years old at this point. Here in the Hartford area, we have a local chapter called the Boule, and we established a scholarship program with Hartford Foundation for Public Giving. And as a result of that, I was invited to participate in interviewing students who had applied for that program. So I became familiar with what the foundation does in terms of education, and the foundation has a fine reputation, and it made sense for us to do this through the fraternity, and just being exposed to all the many very worthwhile programs that the Hartford Foundation is involved with prompted my wife and me to think about maybe doing a scholarship. The whole process has been very well organized. Foundation staff people spoke with us about setting up the scholarship, provided us with a great deal of information, really made it easy. So before we established this scholarship, as I said, I was part of the group to go out to the schools and interview students. And one of the things about the foundation staff is that they make it very easy to participate. They have an orientation session or a briefing. They explain everything. They have forms that we or information that we use in the interview process. And people who've been doing the interviews previously share their experiences. So it's a very supportive environment, and as an individual, I know exactly what I have to do. They provide all kinds of information about the detailed information that we use to follow up, to make the appointments, to actually see the students. So actually, they're so helpful. They make it difficult to mess up, really. so that's the kind of direction that I could benefit from. But the foundation, we would not have taken this step had we thought that this was not the most appropriate way to go forward. I've been impressed with so many of the different activities. So this was one that really captured my attention. the idea of being able to help some potential student who might feel that he or she doesn't have adequate resources to go to college. And actually, I think that's one of the big issues with low-income people especially about college. There's this fear. They think that they cannot afford it, when in actuality there are scholarships, there are programs, there are financial aid programs. So whatever can be done to raise levels of awareness about going to college just can be helpful.
Probably would add with our scholarship and with others. Just the effect, and I think the effect is an exponential effect, because our scholarship in particular and all of the other scholarships that the Hartford Foundation, it multiplies so many times. So the student receives it, the student's self-esteem, motivation, sense of self-worth, knowing that someone has invested in him or her, the effect that it has on that student's family, siblings, aunts, uncles, grandparents, their children, their community. It's like a pebble in the water. You just see the ripple. It just goes on and on and on and on. And I think both Booker and I just feel absolutely thrilled when we know that the scholarship that we've set up is going to affect probably more people than we could even imagine. And that's just thrilling. It's beyond thrilling.
I would love to share with you information about your first scholarship recipient.
Wow.
Okay.
For the Doctors Elena and Booker DeVaughn Scholarship. Your student's name is Charisma Rose. She is a resident of Hartford. She attends Hartford Public High School's Nursing Academy,
Good.
which I thought would be so exciting for you.
Yes.
So congratulations.
That's
Very
wonderful
nice.
news.
Okay.
I commend the foundation too for the work that
They're
it does
doing
with,
it, yeah.
well, I was going to say with the community college program. It's a significant program and makes a difference in the lives of so many people. So you guys get kudos for that.